Gracie Jiu Jitsu rocks. Welcome to the Gracie Jiu Jitsu Rocks podcast, a podcast dedicated to Gracie Jiu Jitsu and all things Gracie, including self-defense, competition, anti-bullying, women's self-defense and empowerment, nutrition, and most especially, the people involved in Gracie Jiu Jitsu. This podcast is for the average Joe. It's for anyone who practices, trains, teaches, or just loves to talk about or hear about Gracie Jiu Jitsu. We'll explore the lives of Gracie Jiu Jitsu practitioners, how they got involved in the art, and what effect it's had on their lives. So buckle up and enjoy the ride. Welcome to episode 100 of the Gracie Jiu Jitsu Rocks podcast. As always, I'm your host, Marty Josie, and thanks for listening. So this is a very special episode of our show, as it's our 100th episode, and I couldn't be happier. And it's taken about 4.5 years to get to our 100th episode, so we're very happy to reach this milestone. I mean, there are some shows that, of course, reach this milestone sooner, but working a full-time job and doing this on the side, doesn't lend to more frequent episodes. I have maintained about a every other week or 2 per month timeline with a few exceptions, so that puts us up to 100. In keeping with this very special episode, we have a very special guest today. It's Sensei Saulo Ribeiro of Ribeiro Brothers Jiu-Jitsu and the University of Jiu Jitsu. So very excited about that. Before we get to that, let's do our quote, and then I want to share a little bit of listener feedback with you about the show. And our quote is from Sensei Saulo Ribeiro, and that quote is, "Jiu-Jitsu, at the end of the day, is the art of expressing yourself honestly. Every time you put on a gi, you can't lie." Nice quote from Sensei Saulo. Okay, I want to share some feedback I've gotten over the 4.5 years about the show. We'll start with a few reviews on iTunes. What Marty's done here is put together a podcast that shows the essence of what we all love about Gracie Jiu Jitsu, the camaraderie, the lifestyle, and the culture of training and rolling that has become such a huge part of our lives. There's nothing better than putting on a gi and getting on the mat with like-minded people and unlocking your potential. I look forward to every new episode. And someone else wrote, "Great podcast, awesome guests and discussions." And another one is, "Awesome podcast, great stories and amazing guests. Absolutely entertaining and preposterously addictive." Someone else writes, "This is my only can't miss podcast. It consists of a quote of the day, then an interview, then a Make a Difference segment. It is an organized, thoughtful, and educational format for fans of Jiu-Jitsu. Marty Josie has the martial arts practitioner's best interest at heart. How to include Jiu-Jitsu in your life to be a better person." Another wrote, "Great guests, great interviews, and inspiring words." And I absolutely love listening to people involved in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu and Jiu-Jitsu in general. Keep up the great work. And one more from Facebook. "This is a professionally executed podcast about Jiu-Jitsu. Marty brings in great guests from big names to regular everyday guys. I really like the story shared. Please keep it up." And I want to share a couple of quick emails that I got as well. And the first is from Paul Hunter. And Paul writes, "I started training in Jiu-Jitsu about 5 weeks ago. I was searching for a Jiu-Jitsu podcast. Every other one I found contained lots of terrible language. Your show is clean and you have the best guests of any podcast out there. I really enjoy it. I've literally listened to all 98 episodes in less than 3 weeks." And man, that really blew my mind that someone listened to all 98, at the time, 98 episodes in 3 weeks. So that was very cool to hear, Paul. The next email is from Greg Hudson. And it says, "Like many, I've been a fan of Gracie Jiu Jitsu since Royce's debut in the UFC. Such a fan that I sought out Japanese Jiu Jitsu, which was all I could find in my hometown of Muncie, Indiana at the time. I worked at a Muncie GM factory and was a volunteer firefighter. I was such a fan of Jiu Jitsu after watching Hoist that I wanted to name my son Hoist when he was born. My wife didn't quite see it that way. LOL. My Jiu Jitsu instructor quit teaching, and I turned my focus to my volunteer fire department and worked my way up through the ranks to become chief. Following GM from plant to plant as they closed facilities, I worked in the Indianapolis facility and eventually Fort Wayne. Fast forward through 18 years, I am still living in Muncie, Indiana, but commuting to Fort Wayne, Indiana. A coworker at work introduced me to listening to podcasting while at work. I discovered the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Rocks podcast and instantly loved it. I was at work one day and eagerly listening to an episode, and your interview with Chet Skimmerhorn was on. What? There's a CTC in Fort Wayne? The same town I'm working in daily? I just had to seek it out, and I did. I signed up and started taking the combatives course right away. All was well, and then my parents had some health issues arise. Finding it tough to get to class an hour away with my fire department chief's position and assisting my parents through some health issues, I talked to Chet and explained my situation with my parents. And unlike many martial arts instructors I had dealt with in the past, Chet understood family obligations. He immediately stopped payment and told me to get back when I could. That told me a lot about Chet's character and a training system where it isn't about locking people into contracts, but instead is about teaching and spreading the art of jiu-jitsu. In the meantime, I didn't want to not do Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. I was already hooked, so I bought my own mats and a copy of the Combatives DVDs. I have some firefighters that love to practice with me, as well as my sons. I have also recently looked to Gracie University to find more curriculum to practice. I am now on the verge of finishing helping my parents through their health situation and ready to get back to Fort Wayne Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Academy with Chet and Cameron Price. Anyways, with all of this being said, I just want to say thank you for what you do. Had it not been for your podcast, I would never have known about Fort Wayne Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Academy or had a chance to pursue a dream. I still love listening to each new episode. Keep up the great work and keep them coming. So very nice words from Greg Hudson, so I really appreciate that. I love hearing feedback, so if you enjoy the podcast, certainly shoot me a line, let me know. Make sure you rate the show on iTunes and leave a comment there. All right, moving on. I wanted to let everyone know that the Breathing for BJJ program is finally available for pre-sale. And if you're a listener to the show, you've heard me talk about this program for quite some time. But if you haven't heard about it, if this is your first time tuning in, the Breathing for BJJ program is a program I've been working on for about a year now. And more specifically, it's a 30-day, 30-lesson video program designed to transform your jiu-jitsu experience through the power of the breath. It takes a biomechanical approach to achieving this by teaching you to actually work out and strengthen your breathing muscles, which makes them functionally stronger and more efficient. This information has truly been life-changing for me, both on and off the mat. I used to get very anxious when in bad positions, like when on the bottom when someone's smothering me, and I'd end up either holding my breath or over-breathing, which both of these have the effect of sapping my energy and gassing me out way too quickly. So I'm very excited about launching this program. And again, it is available now for pre-sale while we work to get the final editing done. So you can go to www.breathingforbjj.com for more information. All right, on to our interview for today. Sensei Saulo and his brother Xande make up Ribeiro Jiu Jitsu and of course are both true legends in Jiu Jitsu throughout the world. Sensei Saulo is the founder of Ribeiro Jiu Jitsu Association, founder of the University of Jiu Jitsu. He's the author of the best-selling book, Jiu Jitsu University. He's also, of course, a 5th degree black belt in Jiu Jitsu. He's a 6-time world champion in 5 different weight classes, which is unheard of, and the 2008 world no-gi champion. He's the 2-time ADCC world champion, Abu Dhabi, and he's an IBJJF Hall of Fame member, as well as a Grappler's Quest Hall of Fame member. And I recently had a chance to spend a good amount of time with him over 2 days while I was in San Diego. And man, I can't say enough about Sensei Saulo. He's such a gracious, insightful, friendly, and knowledgeable and interesting person. And I feel very lucky to have been able to have those experiences with him. This interview is the first interview he's done in over 4 years. So, of course, I felt even more honored to be able to sit down with him and interview him. In the interview, he discusses a variety of things, including training with Rafael Lavato Jr. and his relationship with him, his early days of training, growing up with Xande as his brother and the special bond they have, what it takes to be successful at the highest levels, both in the competition arena as well as in running a successful academy and association. He also talks about his service mentality and philosophy, how his training has changed, and what it takes to last throughout the years in Jiu-Jitsu. Carrying your emotions in your body during Jiu-Jitsu, money and fame versus being true to oneself. His book, Jiu Jitsu University, Why Mobility is King, the major influences on his life, and the difference between a winner and a champion, among other things. So it was a really fun and interesting interview, so I know you're going to like it. After the interview, make sure you stick around for the Make a Difference, Make an Impact segment. And now, without further ado, let's talk with Sensei Saulo. All right, I have the distinct pleasure and honor of being here live and in person with Sensei Saulo Ribeiro at his academy in San Diego. Welcome, sir, and thank you so much for taking the time to be with me and allow me to be here with you today.
It's my great pleasure to be here, especially after have the opportunity to feel your energy on the mats and see that you're really serious about what you do to spread the world about the history and the senseis in the world that are living in the Bushido way of the spread, the good word of Jiu Jitsu. And for that reason, I think it's time to come back of my retirement of the interviews and have this delightful talk in front of honorable man.
Yeah, thank you so much. And it's even more of an honor. This is my 100th episode, so it's a big deal for me. And you haven't given an interview in 4 years or more. So, yes, I'm truly honored. So, one of your students, Rafael Lavato Jr., Rafael.
No, Fino. Rafael. Yes.
Rafael Lavato Jr. Yes. A student of yours and has an affiliate school with your association. You recently won another fight in Bellator MMA, bringing his record to, I think it's a 9-0.
Yes.
So, what do you think about his success?
I think he is born to do that, and I don't think that he hit the top yet, because he is one of the hardest to work people I ever met. Humble, determined, with a very outstanding background family. Papa is an unbelievable martial artist. So Rafael, since diapers, he's been feed of the Bushido way, nice. And his mom just that special soul that carries and babies his kid, her kid, and we were very blessed to meet each other and start a journey together that really made me better. And one of the things that Rafael for sure is special about it, he make everybody around him better. Mm-hmm. And for that reason, sky's the limit for him. And then he always had the bug of going to MMA, and all of a sudden he saw himself in that time frame that almost he answered that instinct call, mm-hmm. and all the pieces of the puzzle were aligned and the rest is what you guys see.
Yeah.
And soon we're gonna have a belt to celebrate.
Absolutely, it was about time for him. He truly seems to be a real martial artist, not just a fighter, but a real martial artist. And what he had to say, I read that he said about you and Xande, your brother. He said, in addition to world-class techniques from some of the greatest jiu-jitsu competitors ever, the Ribeiro brothers are trying to reintroduce the sense of martial arts and honor into jiu-jitsu, which they feel is increasingly in danger of being lost in the commercialization of the sport. There's not enough nice things I can say about Saulo and Xande and what they've done for me. He goes on to say they are excellent competitors, excellent teachers, and excellent people. Their jiu-jitsu is awesome, and it's a pleasure to be affiliated with them. The progress that they've helped me through has totally filtered down to my students. The more they help me understand the finer points of jiu-jitsu, the more I can help my students understand the same things. We're all growing together. It feels good to be associated with such well-known and well-respected people like that, and we make a nice big family. So those are great words.
That's my kid.
And I think he speaks for countless people that have a deep respect and admiration for you and Xande and the impact you guys have had on so many people. So tell us a little more about your philosophy and what drives you to make such a positive impact on people's lives.
My daily grind, I believe that people search to better themselves, to achieve like titles, to get medals. For me and my brother, a testimonial like that worth a life of devotion of what we're made of. And Rafael, with his generosity of putting himself as a student, he forgot to mention the value of the portion that he taught us. He taught us a lot about this country, about the people, about the things that we didn't know. And we really were able to blend both cultures to the max that you can have in a combination. That's why today I don't see Rafael as American. I see him as my brother. From which country? I don't know. Depends where we're going to be fighting, conquer, or put in the light. Because what we do, we serve people as an instrument of enlightenment. And when everybody gets weak, we get strong. Mm-hmm. Because our destiny is greatness. Because we live here knowing that every day we gotta better ourselves, and we don't sit waiting wishing in our titles or accomplish, because what we did is already in the past. What I'm doing right now is serving you to spread the good word. Mm-hmm. So our journey is never end, and our work daily. Only work sets you free. Mm-hmm. And only better and sharper skills every day will give you the confidence to face any adversity. Because opportunities will be given to everybody, but the only ones that will take it are the ones that are ready.
Well said.
And people wish a lot, but they don't put the work for that moment, for that split second, that greatness and never will show up.
Well
Depends
said.
how prepared you are.
That's right. Well said. There are a lot of people that wish, and dream of accomplishing things, but it's a rare few, and you guys are certainly in that rare few that put the metal to the test, and really do what it takes on a daily basis to accomplish such great things, in one part of your life or one era in your life, and then when that's over, you transition to continuing to make a huge impact in other ways. So it's a never-ending cycle, like you said.
The warrior within you will never die. He will transform, and he will have to adapt to the situation to be able to accomplish what he's supposed to do. Why it's so reward to work with warriors like us? Because the mission that we have considered done. If we had any problem of finish, we will ask you. But we're not going to let anything finish because it's not our nature. And that's what is transparency when we fight. No matter what, we finish.
Nice.
On our terms. And that's what makes us responsible for our act. Mm-hmm. And not pointing the finger in any direction. And doing that, we stay humble to our truly essence of who we really are. Mm-hmm. With our adversity, with our good memories, but everything is part of our legacy.
Yes.
Everybody talk about our trophy, but not that many are curious about our scars. And that's when the real stories are, you know.
Well, talking about your scars, what's one of the first things that comes to mind that had you earn a scar?
It's a trophy of a battle, you know. It's something that every time you look, every time you think about that, you please yourself of how tough our spirit is. And where people would surrender, we just warm it
up. Just warming up. I love it. So, how did you get started in jiu-jitsu or martial arts? And then what brought you over to the country eventually?
Martial art was my dad. My dad know how explosive a kid I was, and since very young age, he tried everything, karate, name it, any martial arts, taekwondo, and the first time that I really dig it was when I was getting contact 11 years old with judo. That was my first love regarding martial arts. And really, to be able to take somebody down effortless, I was digging in that subject, and be able to take somebody bigger was even better. So right there, I was already in love, and I saw that I had a very good admiration for my sensei, and that's when I understand that it's almost like a second father that will give you tough love through martial arts. And that was another thing that stuck in my mind, and I was seduced. When I was 15, was my sensei of judo was losing a lot of students for this new trend that called Jiu Jitsu. And one day, one of my friends took me in my hometown, my house, to this savage small room with the nasty, dirty gears and
hardcore.
Wow, as can get. And what I remember was, say, who's gonna have a class? Yes, go there, you and him, go fight. And I love it. I said, man, this is as real as get. And was love at the first triangle, and then the transition was natural. But my town was too small for that kid that had big dreams. And 17, with the green belt, I moved to Rio for law school. And to continue my jiu-jitsu education, I didn't want to set myself shorter. I was already in Rio, in the suburbs, so the option was the sensei of my first instructor, Harley Grace. But it was an hour and a half of bus. And that when the decisions that you make in life will influence your destiny. I could be in an academy 10 minutes from my house, or I could take every day an hour and a half each way to the Mecca of Jiu-Jitsu. And as soon as I get there, I was not even a doubt to say, that's the guy. And that's where I spent the next 10 years of my Jiu-Jitsu journey. And it was just watching greatness every day to evolve, and the creator of my sport in the next room is just the energy that you can't get enough.
That's awesome.
And it was the golden years for sure.
Your brother Xande is about 7 years older?
What? Younger. He's 7 years younger.
Yes. Yeah. And at what point did he start getting into jiu-jitsu? And did you guys come over to the States at the same time, or how did that happen?
My brother came first.
Okay.
In Brazil, I was already started to teach as a brown belt, and my brother would come to compete. And he started to compete against my students, and I say, hey man, you better come and join force, and let's do this together. And one of the great qualities of my brother, he really never had a doubt in his mind of a command. You know, he really truly exercised unconditional love and unconditional trust, what is very rare. And even I wasn't the best guy at that time, he just, okay, I have to move, I'll move, let's go. And he just a very quiet, hard worker, you know, and was the best training partner I ever had, you know. Tough as can be, you cannot break his will, and poison, deceiving, and just a great guy to have in your squad. Mm. And he never let that pressure of being the younger brother of Saulo get to. He actually made fun of that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he proved himself, and he made his path parallel to mine. And when we need to converge to each other and blend and become one, we do it. And it's a relation that very rare in this world, and that's where come our strength. Mm. And we transcend already martial arts and everything that relates to the human feeling, and we are, I believe, in another dimension, the one that you don't need to speak to be known, you don't need to feel to love. So
that's wonderful.
It's as deep as can be.
That's incredible, man. So how has jiu-jitsu changed over the years, and since you've been involved, and how's your training changed? I know it's a lot of questions there, but how's jiu-jitsu trained and changed, and then we'll talk about how you adapted your trainings as you get more seasoned in the gear, so to speak.
Changing in which aspect? Because it changed in a lot of aspects, you know. For example, the Americanization of the jiu-jitsu in the late 90s brought a systematic way of defining positions, of defining games, of defining things. What goes exactly in the opposite direction of the roots of jiu-jitsu in Brazil, that is the ability to adapt of any situation, and knowing schedule of which technique you're gonna train this week, was more like your personal preference of the instructors and how everybody feel, and let's go. So I believe that when he came here to start to be professional, and the most of the Americans start to dig it, I think that create a path of how to put a code in which technique. Mm-hmm. But one thing that you're never going to be able to put in code is the heart.
That's true.
And that's when you separate the category of fighters.
Mm. I like the way you said that. It seems to me that the systemization, the structure that was put in place makes it, for some people, a lot easier to learn. But at the same time, it can cause compartmentalization. People want to specialize in one part. So it's hard to, like you said, be ready for anything at any time and be able to do it all. So,
Jiu-Jitsu is designed for you to quit. But if you don't, all the benefit we're going to start to show up in your life. Mm-hmm. And the benefits come from the inside to the outside. Because you're not going to be able to apply a technique if you're not confident enough. You're not going to be able to flow if you're too stiff. You're not going to be able to hyperextend a sweep if you're not flexible. So your body will have to transform, and you have to accept the jiu-jitsu without putting the competitiveness or without punish yourself to be able to feel jiu-jitsu, because that's what gonna give you the choices of what to do.
Wow. And we were talking before about your emotions being carried in your body and in your jiu-jitsu.
Because it's as real as it gets. Somebody will push you, shove you, gonna try to control you, and nobody likes to be controlled. And that's the first thing that jiu-jitsu will create panic in some people. You totally dominate sometimes, but by a person that is smaller, that is weaker, that is older, all the kind of taboos that the real world put for limitate yourself to accomplish things. You know, I always say that in jiu-jitsu, you start to develop not a chronological age, but an acrobatic age. Sometimes you feel old on yourself, sometimes you feel a kid, depends on what is driving you or motivating you for the effort. And that can vary a lot.
Interesting. So through the Ribeiro Jiu-Jitsu Association, your association, you have, I think, over 50 affiliates worldwide.
We have 66.
66.
We have 11 in Brazil, 42 in America, and 15 countries.
Wow. And well over 2,000 students through those.
More, yeah.
More. And you've graduated, and this is what I read, it's probably changed since then, you graduated over 60 black belts.
Yeah, it's way more.
And of course, you've been coach to many high-level grappling competitors. We already mentioned Rafael Lavato Jr., as well as Diego Sanchez, among others. What would you say the secret to your success is?
Don't live by that.
Okay.
Stay as a servant as you can be, and get inspired every day to what's gonna make you happy, not what's gonna make you paper. That's how I
so
call
not
money.
the accolades. Right.
Because people take opportunities based in how famous, how much money, but they don't ask themselves, am I going to be happy doing that? Is that going to be something that will fulfill my soul? Is that going to bring me the people that I want to deal with, that I want to expose myself and show who am I? Is that going to make me feel comfortable? So that questions, in my opinion, are vital for your success. For you, what's success?
Okay, so start by defining what real success is for you, right? And it could be different for anybody.
Exactly.
Some people live a life chasing the external and the money or the fame or whatever it may be, position.
What the money is good for.
Yeah, so money's not wrong. You can use it to feed the hungry. You can use it
No. Money just buy you time. But sooner or later, you're going to have to face that truth.
That's true.
And it can be the shinai or the sword. Depends how much stubborn you are.
Sooner or later, it all ends the same. Nice. So your book, University of Jiu Jitsu, was, of course...
It's not my book. It's
our
book.
Your guys' book.
Our book.
How did that come to be? How did you decide to write that? And tell us a little bit about that process.
I'm always like to understand and explain things, and that comes from my veins of like to debate, like to inspire people, and really touch them. And when I saw that Jiu-Jitsu was coming with all this hype and all these books are coming out, I said, it's funny, but there is no champion talking about the mentality behind each part of the process. And then I said, you know what? What a white belt should expect, what a blue belt, So let me talk to them about each step of the process and illustrate with technique, because techniques are just tools. Which one you're gonna use? The one you like, the one that is appropriate for the moment that you need it. But it's just the connection between people. And since the society likes to read and understand about it, why not giving the whole mindset behind? And that's when I met Kevin Howard. For me, he's a great martial arts, a great, knowledgeable man. I say, are you willing to do this? So let's train, let me get to know you, understand my mind, and let's lock ourselves for 3 days and let's do it all.
Nice.
And that's when he was very generous to really keep up with my intensity, and the rest is history.
That says a lot, right?
It's just like right questions, right answers, me answers, silly answers, and when you blend it all, you have the secret of greatness. That is the uncoordinated, unplanned, but totally faithful to the essence of what made me who I am. And that really is taken if one of the greatest informations about the art. And I'm very honored to be able to be part of that, because the reason why I say it's not my book, because I had so many influence to be able to speak about that. My brother, my students, my close friends, my family. Without that, I would never have the knowledge. That's why you cannot entitle yourself ownership of something that transform you with the others. So it's too many names to mention.
Nice. Well, it was certainly groundbreaking. And you know what I really like about you is the way you just described that process. You didn't just, find someone and write a book who you think's a good writer. You wanted to experience. You wanted to experience their energy and their essence before. Same with, you didn't want to just do this interview. You said, well, let's get on the mat first, and then have a sense of getting to know someone. I think that's really cool. It's nice.
That's how I protect myself.
That's cool. So let's talk a little bit about longevity and lasting a long time. As you get further along in your journey, how do you stay healthy?
A lot of people call myself a master, and I deny the title, because the title comes with full potential of maximize the wisdom that you have. And in my process, I still have to maximize self-discipline. Is the one that I'm very lack of it. And one of the secrets of longevity, do the same thing every day with consistent, even when you don't like, you don't want, and nobody is pushing you to do it. And that will make your body almost like in an automatic pilot when it's time to perform. If you try to take your body to peaks from 0 to 100, you're gonna put too many miles when you're biorhythm. So as a martial art, I gotta keep my body healthy and warm if I want to perform, or if I want to train hard, if I want to live as a martial artist. That's why when a pro athlete comes to me and say, and I ask, hey, well, no, I'm not in shape, that's a sin. If you are a pro athlete, you cannot say you're not in shape, because it's your job to be in shape. And for me, as a sensei now, as I don't compete as a professional, I have to be healthy to be able to inspire the other as soon as they see me. So I cannot preach something that I'm not doing, not. That's why one of the greatest ads in my training was the yoga. The yoga just in the hot room for me, the 26 position, 2 breathing exercise, release the stress, you stretch my body from the inside to the outside, and give me a path to follow, that I'm not the boss, that I'm just that guy in the room that is just feeling as a white belt. And that's the feeling that a lot of instructors lose. Do you remember how was it when you were a white belt? So be nice, be patient. So be cordial, be generous.
Right.
All that kind of things that you are very good when you are the hammer, but when you are the nail,
Exactly.
you know, and all that kind of things is a compliment for the Bushido way. Stay healthy is a must. It's a lifestyle.
Yes.
And it has to be built every day, not when you like it.
So consistency, and it sounds like mindset is huge to you in that process. That you got to exercise every day. You got to do the things you need to do, like you said, consistently, even when you
In
don't feel
order
like
to get mobile.
mobility.
Mobility.
Yes.
Tiger routine in our system
Yes.
is the first thing that I check in an instructor when I go overseas. Show me tiger routine. Because then I know if he is exercising himself, if he's better himself, because he can come to me and say, oh, I'm hurt, but tiger routine doesn't make you not able to exercise yourself,
Right.
be mobile.
For people who don't know what tiger routine is, explain that just a little bit.
Tiger routine is a combination of the 7 different exercises with foundation in Hapkido, Jeet Kune Do, Ginástica Natural, and yoga that combine breathing, explosion, athleticism, and mobility with techniques that will simulate the positions that you're going to do in Jiu Jitsu. Have you read my book?
Yes.
What's one of the most famous quotes? If you think, you're late. If you're late, you must. If you must, you get tired. If you get tired, you're going to get beat.
No, that's it.
And that's the definition of living the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Jiu-Jitsu brings to your life.
That's it.
Living the moment. What's the most important time? Now. And if you think too much about it, you're not smelling the rose right now.
I think that's super important in Jiu-Jitsu, but in life now in our society, it's an epidemic, living not in the moment and being so frazzled and being concerned with everything else except being mindful of what you're doing. If you're drinking tea, if you're eating, really being present with it, whatever you're doing on the mat. And I think that's what we really need to get back to as a society.
And for example, certain students get here, I want to do just because I want to lose 10 pounds. Say, no, let's try to lose the first one, not sacrifice your family, not be grumpy, not punish yourself too much. Can we do that? And then they laugh because that's what they preach. But then when they have to explain, they just go to the same path.
It's true. It's true. So what advice would you have for new people coming into Jiu-Jitsu, as well as for coaches or instructors working with them? Or put another way, what do you wish you had known as a practitioner or instructor when you started that you know?
Know who you're going to trust your life, your dreams, your hopes. Make a careful research about who is going to guide you to the path. Check his lineage. Check if that person live a martial art style. Otherwise, you're just gonna join a gym that has a guy that teaches you jiu-jitsu. That's dangerous. Very dangerous. Because nowadays, jiu-jitsu is hot. Everybody wants to get a piece of. But you gotta see if they qualify to. It's almost like when you're gonna put your kids in school, take to the doctor, you gotta see who it is. Same thing. Jiu-Jitsu is a medicine for the soul that will heal the body with time and will build on you confidence. Beautiful. Some people come and say, I want to learn Jiu-Jitsu, and I ask, why? They don't know why, but they are feeling that they need something to fulfill their soul. Maybe a new friend, maybe a new environment. And they just gonna confess you when they surrender.
Mm-hmm.
When you put them in a position and you be kind enough to baby step them. Because if you punish them, you lose. Because they're there, because life already doing that.
That's
and
really
that's
well put.
the part that we gotta be very generous about and honor to that person cross that door and trust his life to you.
That's really well put. It's not easy for someone to walk in and like you said, they may not even know why they're there entirely, or they may give you one reason, but you know it's much deeper. There's a longing, a searching.
Do you know the first thing that my staff has to do as soon as somebody get in the door?
What?
Is smile. Because the research that I did about our business, intimidate.
Yeah.
So I say, we're here trying to teach the messages, but how we create this intimidate environment. Confidence, give to the other that are not confident, intimidation. And it's the entire room. My students, since the woman, the kids, everybody's confidence. So that brings intimidation for who is almost like, what are you looking to us? And people that have experienced that kind of feeling, just gonna froze, just gonna feel the heat. That's why I tell my guys, you got 5 seconds to greet them.
That's good. That's
or we might lose them.
They may look in door like, see.
I already had to run to guys, hey, come back, no, come back.
That's funny. That's funny.
I was mistake of what? No, come here. Because some energy are very strong.
Yes.
And I always say, be kind, because everyone is fighting a war that you don't know nothing about.
That's so true. So, do you have any hobbies besides jiu-jitsu often, Matt?
I love any kind of competition. I like ping pong. I like play pool. I like swim. I like snowboard. I like Jenga is my new. I like chess. I love chess. Play chess.
Yeah.
I like
Jenga is stressful.
I love Jenga, man. I love.
So anything competitive.
Anything competitive that is not like a video game or something electronic that doesn't call my attention. No.
Yeah, same here.
I'm just now liking more like electronic because of Victoria, Xande's daughter, that she only listens to me when I make she's the boss and teach me something, and then she let me do that.
That's great.
So that's cool.
That's really cool.
She finds some future that how do you find that, Victoria? And then she's teaching me things because this new generation, oh my God.
There's something, man.
Highly skilled in electronics.
For sure. Put us to shame with it, for sure.
We the dinosaurs.
Exactly. So, Sensei, you mentioned your first sensei, and you mentioned, of course, your brother having an impact. Who's someone else that's had a huge impact on your life, either personally or professionally?
Personally, my dad, for the values, for the work ethic, for what it means to be a man. And being a man, you're already going to have a lot of people saying they are the man too. But what kind of man? And that's the part that my dad was able to really show me with example in his own life, the situations of a real man and what a okay man. And we always choose 100% because 50% or something like that to be considered something is cheap. So if I'm going to trust you, I'm not going to give you 20% of trust, raise to 40, 60 one day. No. If if I trust you, the word trust means 100. Or I don't trust you. That is not in between.
It's all or nothing.
That's where people get cheat, betray.
It's true.
And that's when they kind of fall short.
That's interesting. Trust has to be all or nothing. Yeah.
Yes.
True.
Or you are in a fight, or you're not.
Exactly.
I was kind of, seems a lot of cheating between.
That's true.
And that's the part that for Jiu Jitsu, I was so blessed. I started in a savage place in Manaus where everybody beat the crap of each other in the toughest, hottest environment. And then I went to Rio and was put under the wing of the greatest competitor that the Grace family ever produced, and was the lightest Harley Race. The guy's a magician, deceiving, precise, judo on point, and at the same time, listen what the creator of the sport had to say as a philosophy, how he was nasty in his way of living. And then I was able to get in contact with Hickson, and was the first time that I was inspired by samurai words and a very unique way of see life, but towards MMA and Jiu Jitsu as a unit. I was get the first opportunity to work in America by the hands of a Helson Grace, in my opinion, the most generous Grace and tough as can be. I was able to be educated in a lot of things about the American way, in my opinion, of one of the most innovators and smart Grace's Corium. So I believe my relation with the family brought me to where I stand. And I built my own path and fingerprint based on my own convictions. And that's a blend of all this brought something very rare and special. And that's what motivates me to keep it better myself, to see what comes next. If I was able to dig until now, what about those days for us? And my first creature was my brother. That is for me, what a martial artist in all levels, not only grappling, but striking too. And that's one of the things that I don't see, this world champion, a complete fighter. That's the thing. Oh yeah, you're good at this jiu-jitsu points, but what about no-gi? What about if we include punches? Yeah. If you see the rate of all these disciplines, I'll put my brother in the top of the line. So to be able to contribute for that kind of a new breed of martial arts made me very happy.
Awesome. Is there anything we haven't discussed that you would like to talk about before we come to a close?
You say what's changed the most in the jiu-jitsu? I believe that the society now is creating winners, not champions, and that's a big difference. Everybody's trying to get a formula to win championship, but they're not looking inside themselves. What's the formula to better themselves? Because the champion is not the one that always wins, is the one that sends the message no matter what's the outcome. Is the one that inspires everybody around him. And with the MMA getting so popular, there is no way for us to really touch people with jiu-jitsu because MMA is getting away and showing a different kind of jiu-jitsu. If it wasn't for UFC or these MMA events, how the general public would hear about the word jiu-jitsu? Do you know how many times UFC say the word jiu-jitsu? 67 per event. So we own them, the spread of the word. But what's that mean? That's the part that we're still not able to compress in something that anybody will be able to understand. So we still this underground people that they look, oh, something about it, but are you a fighter? Say, Mom, you are too. You raised 3 kids with no dad around. So everybody's a fighter, but what's being a jiu-jitsu? That is the part that all the organization are having a hard time to educate the general public and to give them space and curiosity to get in close. You go to a tournament in jiu-jitsu, it sucks to be there. All the kind of hours, no comfort zone for kids, no VIP area, no television, no nothing. How we gonna really create a professional environment if everything around is not professional? Is it still the old formula? Pay a very expensive entry fee, get the facility, buy some medals, sell a dream, and let's go. It's by business, you got to invest 8% of your gross in marketing. How much these companies invest? Sure. And that's my biggest criticism as a company, because you can even touch the heart of why they exist. But if it's a company, why you not invest the part that you should be investing in marketing?
Good question.
Because that's what would give the players and the fighters opportunity to be exposed to a different public. And that will bring a lot of revenue to the sport.
It's true.
Until there, we still the underground fight. We have World Championship with over 60 countries, and we didn't see anywhere beside a pay site. So until we break that plateau, we're still the underground.
Sure.
And that what's making hard for this new generation to tell the dad, hey, dad, don't put your kids in wrestling, don't put in baseball, don't put in this, let him stick with jiu-jitsu. Why? And that's been the toughest question to answer when they hold so much expectation for the kids in the society that we live in. And we keep it just a cliche for him to don't be bullied in school, but that's weak. That is just one little aspect of the whole puzzle of how to educate a kid.
Right.
And that's the part of our research and lab in all the units that we have all over the world. Because what we have is units that provide you energy, light, and hope. That's why I stay as insurance of everything that they want to do. And I stay in the human research, I train the trainers, and if everything is good, don't contact me. If something goes bad, get the red code. I'll be right there because we care. And that's our hashtag for our instructors. Why your guys instructors, I don't like to say better, I like to say valuable, even they don't have any titles or this, that, because they are men of honor and they care.
Well,
and knowing that says a lot.
It's everything, and it's very apparent by just spending just a few minutes with you and talking with you, that you do care, and that the underlying motivation and the integrity is what drives you, and the honor. You're truly
are living the Buddha way, and not just teaching jiu-jitsu, not just competing, not just doing the surface like so many people. You really do live and breathe it, and you do care. So I applaud you for that, and you have my utmost respect for that.
And sometimes, like I was in the other facility, I was wiping the mats, and the girl come to me, "Oh, you are the cleaner." I say, "Yes." Right now I am.
Right.
And what do you do? What needs to be done? And that's it's the chameleon aspect of being martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna blend to the situation and know how valuable we can be without creating too much noise.
Yes.
And that's the greatest asset of having one of us as a close one of yours. And that will transcend and will be part of our six blade philosophy. There are the six pillars that you gotta have in balance in order to your life make sense. Family, respect, honor, loyalty, discipline, attitude. Do you know the difference between gratitude and loyalty? That's how people are being enslaved in Jiu-Jitsu.
Gratitude and loyalty.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's how bad instructors are put in prison good students.
Yeah.
Because they preach, if you leave me, you're going to be ashamed, you're not going to be loyal. That's not true.
Uh-huh.
Gratitude is part of your personality if you are a man of honor. And that doesn't change. You're grateful for everybody that had a contribution of who you are. Loyalty is something that can transform, adapt, or change depends of your goals that you have in life. Who can take you there? Who's gonna go with you? Has to do with your future. And that's the part that has not to do with you be grateful for who taught you the bump escape. And that's something that I would like to really emphasize to all these kids that dream of being the best. Surround yourself with who is pushing that direction. And if the place you are, you feel in your heart that is not getting there, or your instructor is lazy or doesn't live what he preach, get the out. And don't feel guilty about that, because it's about choice. If I truly believe that I cannot contribute and serve any of my students for what they goal are, I say, man, look for these guys. And that's something that you gotta be very mature about and very generous, true to yourself and what martial art it is.
True to yourself, your path and your journey.
That's loyalty. And your dreams don't work unless you do. And the first step is to be able to distinguish what it is.
Awesome. Well, sir, it has been truly an honor to absorb your knowledge and wisdom. You have so much knowledge and wisdom and insight, but you also have, a humbleness, and it's a beautiful thing to be around and experience. So I appreciate you, and I applaud you, and I respect you. So thank you so much for your time and your insight.
I'm here for that, and I already gave you your challenge. Next time I see you, you gotta get down the tiger routine.
You got it.
To be as effortless as you are and eloquent in words with the body movement.
Right
I'm
on.
very pleased to be able to freely speak without any associate and any politics, because that's what I do every day. And for me, I'll be here if you need anything from my end, because I'm here to serve. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, really enjoyed that conversation with Sensei Saulo. What an incredible person. I really enjoyed the opportunity of spending time with him, and I'm just absorbing his energy and his philosophy and and insights. What a great honor to have been able to have that opportunity. All right, up next is the Make a Difference, Make an Impact segment.
There is no greater pain than that of regret. Nothing can kill your soul more than the feeling of regret. Never be afraid to take a risk in life. Never be afraid to take a risk going after what you really want.
You may fail. You will most likely fail often. But failure going after your dreams is nothing compared to the failure that is settling for a life that you don't want. It's never too late to try again. It's never too late to decide you want more out of life. It's never too late.
It's never too late to commit to make this day, this very day, the best of your life. To create opportunities for yourself, to be positive, to rise above average thoughts. It's never too late to reinvent yourself, to learn something new, to grow, to feel good again. No matter what has happened or failed to happen in your past, it is never too late, but only if you are committed. Only if you want to change. Do you want to change? Do you want more out of life? You wouldn't be the first person on earth to turn everything around. It is not impossible. All it takes is your commitment, your courage, and your desire to be better. Most people don't change because they lack courage, because they fear the unknown. They fear failure. You are different. You have the courage to try. Don't fear failure. Fear being in the exact same place next year as you are today.
And that's going to do it for this edition of the show. As always, I thank you for listening. Hope you're enjoying the show. If you feel like you're benefiting from the show and want to show your support, you can support us on our Patreon page, a link in the show notes. Please like and follow us on social media and help us spread the word by reposting our posts and telling others about the show. You can leave comments on the website at www.racejujitsurocks.com. You can also go to iTunes and leave comments as well as rate the show, and we would appreciate a 5-star rating, which helps us with our standing in iTunes. You can also leave comments on our YouTube channel. If you have suggestions for the show, please don't hesitate to give those. We always like feedback and suggestions. Okay, that's going to do it. So until next time, this is Marty Josie, and I'll see you on the mat.